Is it? Ladies and gentlemen,
There we go.
It's the final show before the World Cup. It is officially the final Prem Predictions show before the World Cup. I can't believe we have come round, but it is the last one before the World Cup, and I'm pretty sure everyone is looking forward to when it comes back on Boxing Day, of course, as well. But the World Cup is obviously coming around the corner, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by two fabulous guests. Paul Morgan, Bluebird Legends. How are you, Paul?
Good evening, Doug. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thank you. And thanks for having me on. Been a long time.
It has been a long time. It has been a long time. And I've been joined by Mr. Nathan Morgan, who you probably will see more of on Josh's channel now. Obviously, the World of Football podcast has obviously moved over there. But I've managed to get him on the day that he's actually not doing it. So nice to have you, Nathan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice change to be back on the Dugout Football channel, isn't it? Of course, where the World Football podcast started. And yeah, let's just say I have my designated ranting zone over there at the moment, considering certain things. But apart from that, it's great to be back on here, and thanks for having me on. Let's get into the Premier League.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'll be ranting this week, considering you did actually beat Sunderland.
There's still rants to come, trust me.
Oh, well, there we go, indeed. Let's say hello to a few people, because I have seen there's a few of you in here. Reese Gaming Channel, hello. Hello, Shane.
Hello.
And evening to Sport Cat as well. Hope you guys are good. We are pretty good as well. Now, last week, I have to say, this is very interesting. So, obviously had Chris Welsh on. Now he's obviously one of my, I think he's one of my first subscribers, actually. He did get 9 points, and this is the interesting bit. He got one perfect score, which was West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 2. And then he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outcomes. I don't think I've ever done this, but I got 9 outcomes out of 10.
Very
so
good.
It was a draw. It was a draw between me and Chris. So I'm basically I'm still in absolutely shock that happened. And in fact, Reese Gaming Channel, you actually also got 9 points. So basically, it was a draw between myself, Chris, and yourself. So very well done, Reese. As it stands at the moment, it is still 7-5 to the guests. So there we go, indeed. And Luke is in as well, the True Red. Hello, hope you are good as well. But yeah, some big games before the World Cup starts. And obviously, 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. Manchester City against Brentford. Oh, City got away with one, I thought, against Fulham. First of all, I'll come to you first, Paul. Was that a penalty on Kevin De Bruyne?
Well, De Bruyne. Well, he made a meal of it, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Sort of kept his ankle or his foot hold out. It wasn't a massive pull back by the defender, but I think he's done that quite a few times, hasn't he, De Bruyne? And yet again, Manchester City take all 3 points. But was it a foul? Well, he touched him, and if you get touched in the box, it seems the referees blow up for that sort of thing, or they go to VAR, don't they? So
yeah,
with the law these days, even how minute touch them, then it was a penalty.
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately, if you're a Man City fan.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Nathan, it has to be said that VAR. I feel that every single week I'm on this show, I'm always speaking about VAR. But the thing is that City got away with one against Fulham, didn't they?
They absolutely did. I mean, if it was any other league, for me especially, De Bruyne would have been booked for that challenge and it would have been a free kick. But I mean, it's just straight up appalling that every single week we have to come back to these decisions. Like I said, I've said it so many times, week in, week out, One Football Podcast. A program on Sky called Ref Watch should not exist. And the reason that VAR is failing is because of the referees running it. VAR is brilliant. I will always say that, and it has to happen, considering what we saw before VAR. And quite frankly, the way that they have not used it is absolutely terrible. But all I will say, especially to Fulham as well, is fair play to them for really taking the game to Manchester City. Of course, Pereira getting that great scoring that penalty in the end as well. Just Man City stole it in the end, quite frankly, for me.
Well, I think they did well, actually, Dave, because they had 10 players on the pitch, didn't they?
They did, yes. That Cancelo challenge was absolutely
put it away,
stupid.
and then Manchester City, they 2-1. I think Mitrovic wasn't playing, was he, for Fulham?
No.
So you've got to hand it to Man City as well for coming through with 10 men at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would agree. I mean, Cancelo red for you guys, was it a red?
100% stupid.
Well, if I'm looking at this purely as a football player and a fan, it's very okay. He did kind of barge him, and then you're going to have comparisons. I've seen all over social media with the Trent Alexander-Arnold, where it wasn't even a foul, was it, in the box? And we could talk about this all night. I know that the Cancelo challenge it looked like he was going for goal, and the attacker wasn't. Who was the foul on now? I can't remember now.
Harry Wilson.
Of course it was, yeah.
So if I'm being honest, I don't think either of them were fouls, but Cancelo's was probably more of a foul than Trent. So letter of the law again, VAR touched in the box. So
Brentford are such a funny side right now. I mean, away from home, you could probably just guarantee them that they're either going to lose or draw.
Yeah.
But against Nottingham, first of all, Nathan, was that a penalty on Embuemo from Dean Henderson? Because it was so... I wouldn't say it was soft, but you kind of see what Henderson was trying to do.
Yeah, I can see what Henderson was trying to do, but then again, if you sort of lose contact with the ball and just decide to take it out of Buemo, then at the end of the day, for me, that's a penalty. The letter in the law, if goalkeeper nowhere near the ball, takes out the player, yes, they can sometimes make a milk of it, but if he fully goes for it, then that's a penalty in my eyes. And just touching on that game as well, I thought I was pretty impressed by Nottingham Forest. But honestly, I don't get how they didn't win that game in the end and that they let Brentford back into it. I mean, that penalty was just stupid to give away, as you said. If they wouldn't have they fully deserved it. And then obviously we got that goal to make it 2-1, and they just about got that point with the skin of their teeth in the end.
Forest, didn't they? Was it last minute they scored?
Last
90.6 minute own goal, wasn't it? They were very lucky.
It rebounded. If it would hit the Brentford player, it would have probably been offside.
Yeah, that would have good. Exactly. And also, Ivan Toney is back for this game, which will be good news for Brentford fans.
Statement on that as well.
Yes.
On the Brentford website.
I don't know. I don't know why. I do not know why a newspaper wants to bring up past things when he's not even done things at Brentford. This would probably be when he was at Peterborough or something. It's ridiculous anyway. But say Brentford, I can only really see a City win in this one. I'm going to go 3-0 Manchester City. So what are you going for? I'll start with Paul first. What are you going for this one?
I believe I've been reading that Cancelo is going to serve his 1-match ban if I'm not if I'm right for the Carling Cup or the EFL Cup on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So he should be back for the weekend. Haaland should probably be starting this match as well before the World Cup. So he's got a nice long break. So I'm going to go 4-0 Manchester City. Okay, Ivan Toney may cause some problems up front. And he'll want to do well as well because he'll want to be in that squad, which I think is the England squad being announced before this final game?
Thursday, I think.
Thursday.
So, yeah, either way, he'll want to show if he's left out of the squad, don't leave me out. But if he's in the squad, he'll want to show Southgate what he's all about to be in that team. Or well, we know that Harry Kane's going to start up front, but yeah. So 4-0.
4-0. Nathan?
I can only see a Manchester City win, as you guys have said. I'm going to go 3-1. I do think Brentford will be able to get something out of this game because they have been pretty prolific in front of goal this season. It's just their defence, you know.
Oh yeah, I know. I would agree as well. I would agree as well. Interestingly, actually, we were speaking obviously about Ivan Toney. I did see a report saying that potentially Ivan Toney might be getting in the England squad or is expected to be named in Gareth Southgate's England squad, which I think is very, very well deserved. But I hope that Callum Wilson will be there as well. I think he's done, but obviously it's injuries with him, isn't it? Injuries.
I'll probably say Ivan Toney just over Callum Wilson, to be honest. In my eyes, anyway.
Yeah, De Bruyne surely dived. Who knows? Haaland must start and Foden too. Pep is seriously messing up my fantasy Premier League by not starting them. Yes,
I've seen that one's reaction last week.
Oh, I've had Foden. Foden was doing well. I brought him in, and he's been on the bench the last couple of weeks. Haaland, as we know, everybody's probably captaining him, even though he's injured. But I think I'm going to Foden this week.
Yeah, Reece
is
going
probably score a hat trick now.
Oh, you watch. You probably will. Reece is going 3-0 Man City. Shane's going 5-0 Man City. Never a pen on De Bruyne. No, absolutely not. They are so inconsistent nowadays. Some things are penalties, and in other games the exact thing happens. Then it isn't a penalty. This is exact same for penalties. VAR needs to be consistent. True Reds
as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. True Reds say nowhere near. 2-0 City. I do think Jack Grealish should apologise to Albion. Is Vinny Tan not owner of a Belgian club too? Something like that. I see Manchester winning at least. Victory George, hello. Hope you're good. I haven't seen you in the chat for ages. Predictions of City Chelsea guys were getting battered. Sporka, I have to be honest. Even if you play a strong side, I think City will be way too strong. I don't think you get battered. I think it might be like something like a 3-1 or something, but I can only see City winning that cup tie as well. Man City 4, Brentford 1. Evening again, Brian. Hope you're good. Victory George is saying, if it comes up, hope these players avoid injuries. Yeah, absolutely as well. Thompson, hello. Evertonian, of course. Hope you're good. This team news leaking crashed FPL last 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'd like to hear what our guest for today. Hello. Also, by the way, I have to say, we've all asked about that on the Southampton game because obviously they are at Anfield. What a place to potentially start your new job at. As well. Hopefully I can have another good week this week. Second on the leaderboard in Super Brew. Well done, Sportcat. Hope these players stay away from injuries before the World Cup. And actually, someone who is in very, very good form, well, his club isn't, is Kiefer Moore, Bournemouth against Everton now. Obviously, both of these sides are on the end of... Wow. Nathan, how do you describe Bournemouth, right? 2 games in a row, 2 goals up, and they lose.
Inconsistent as anything. And if I'm honest, it was coming for me for Leeds. It was just a goal fest left, right, and centre, wasn't it? Somerville captaining it off yet again in the end, of course, after he got that last-minute winner against Liverpool. And to be quite honest, every time that Bournemouth seemed to go ahead after half time. They completely lost their confidence. Leeds just completely overwhelmed it. And I've never been impressed by that Bournemouth defence, even in the Championship as of last season as well. I do think that O'Neill's substitutions were a little bit stubborn as well. I think, yes, he did sub to the defenders, but I think should have got, well, I don't know, change up the formation at least for me, because Leeds could just easily work it out. And in the end, that's what cost them, of course, and cost them yet more points, even though I have been impressed by Bournemouth this season, and I do think that they will stay up, providing they keep O'Neill as well. But yeah, they are a funny old side, aren't they? And then Everton, of course, just not good again against Leicester, were they?
No.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is against Everton at the moment. Just not getting the goals, not keeping the clean sheets. Frank Lampard's we all slated him at the start of the season. Did go on that all right run where everyone was like, oh, they're going to stay up, they're doing okay, but got to remember, guys, this is Everton. Yeah, both teams in need of a rethink, I think, over the World Cup break.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, are we now kind of seeing the expected slump that Bournemouth have had?
Yeah, I think so. Gary O'Neill, he took charge, didn't he? Caretaker sort of position, and sort of galvanised the troops. But they're leaking goals galore at the back, even though going forward, the likes of Solanke and Billings scored quite a good goal on the weekend, didn't he?
Really good.
Keeper Moore getting amongst the goals, which is good for Wales. But yeah, they need to sort out the defence, and I think if they want to survive in the Premier League, I think they need to change a manager, really bring some experience in there, whether that is, well, I don't know.
Sean Dyche,
yeah, but maybe Southampton could have gone for a Dyche, but does he really want to be in a relegation battle? But he'd probably bring that wealth of experience for, maybe avoiding relegation there. But yeah, Bournemouth leaking goals, but scoring goals. Everton, I think both of the teams, they've played for their 14 matches each, and they've only got, 3 wins for Everton, 3 wins for Bournemouth. So to me, this has got draw written all over it. It could be a high-scoring draw, something like 2-2. I am going to go for 1-1 in this match, because I think Everton, they have actually had the joy on the South Coast this season already by beating Southampton, their only away win of the campaign. But I think Bournemouth, they are in action, aren't they, midweek in the EFL Cup. So they need to be working on the defensive frailties over the course of the week. If they can do that, then maybe they'll keep the goals down rather. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Interesting. I actually fancy Bournemouth in this game. I don't know why. But I've gone 1-0. I've gone 1-0 the Cherries. I think they'll. You on the same, Nathan?
Yes, I've got the same prediction earlier. I haven't.
Yeah, losing at home against Leicester isn't great, although Leicester's fortunes have turned around recently.
Still not overwhelming though with Leicester. We'll obviously get onto them in a moment, but it's I don't know. I haven't rated Everton at all this season, to be honest. I mean, you said they were going to go down, of course, and I don't know. I really think there's something drastic that's needed there for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We'll see what some of you are saying for this one, because it could easily be a draw, or it could easily be an Everton win. Shane's agreeing with Paul's in 1-1. True Red's gone 1-0 Everton. As Tom said. Bournemouth will end up scoring 2, and then they will bottle it, and they have won 3-2. Oh, I can wish. Yeah, I know. I can't believe how bad Bournemouth have actually been in losing these 2-goal leads. It's quite staggering. Leeds are brilliant fun. Just go along for the ride. Yeah, definitely. Bournemouth 1, Everton 1. What's this? Do you think the consistent amount of times that go up and down from the Championship to the Premier League is a bit much now? Same amount of teams. Norwich example. I see Bournemouth, Everton being a draw. Brian's gone 3-1 Bournemouth. Interesting. 2-2 draw. So Sportcat Billing has been on fire. Yeah. He certainly has. He certainly has as well. Right, we'll come to the next game. And, Obviously, the big breaking news was this morning that Ralph Hasenhüttl, well, was it really breaking news? I mean, it came out yesterday that basically Southampton had agreed to sack him. I think it was a case of when and not if. Liverpool play Southampton at the weekend. First things first, Nathan Jones. Is this too big a job for him?
It's not too big a job for him, but it's exactly the wrong time in the wrong system. I mean, with Nathan Jones, we've seen it at Luton. Look how long it took him to get that implemented there. And of course, now he's in the Championship, now doing extremely well with them in his second spell. And I think, for me, look what happens when Stoke poached him. For me, they're in exactly the same position as Southampton, really struggling, low point, not the strongest squad that they've had. For me personally, this is their weakest Premier League squad with the favourites to go down. And the fact that I said it a lot of the World of Football podcast as well, the 4-4-2 system does not work for Southampton at all. It's just been way too weak at the back, overrun in midfield, disaster class. I don't even know why Ralph Hasenhüttl persisted with it for so long. Yes, he did change it back to a 4-2-3-1 for the last game, but then again, playing Theo Walcott with Che Adams just behind him, that is a recipe waiting to happen against Newcastle. That is just crazy tactics for me. I think if Nathan Jones does go there, it's going to have exactly the same impact at Luton that he did at Stoke. One transfer window, just weakening of the squad, not being able to get his tactics right. The fans won't get back on board with him after a few matches. They'll want him out and he'll be sacked before the end of the season. I can clearly see that happening. If you want to bring Nathan Jones in, you do it at the start of the season and back him to make sure he gets his philosophy in and give him time for a season to get things to gel. He's sort of one of those managers, but he is ready for the Premier League just at the right time. And for me, definitely not at Southampton.
No, definitely not. And I mean, Paul, I think the writing was on the wall for Hasenhüttl, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Terrible. They're in the bottom three now. 3 wins out of their last 14 matches. Their recent form as well hasn't been too clever. Back-to-back defeats against Palace. Okay, Newcastle have been flying this season, but a draw against Arsenal was a decent result, and you could say West Ham, but yeah, they need to make a change. Whether that is Nathan Jones, maybe not. But listening to a Luton supporter earlier today, he seems to think it might be quite a good fit, him going to Southampton, because there's been year-on-year improvements with Luton, where he's taken them up from Division 2, which has been fantastic. Each time they've finished higher than the season before. He's been made to work on a very, very small budget at Luton. Unless I don't know, are they going to be building a new stadium? They're moving out of there?
They are. I think they got
that
about
is probably
2 or 3
a
years
good
left.
thing. If they got aspirations of the Premier League, then they'll need to do that, because Bournemouth got a very small ground, but Luton's ground is a bit of a shed. It's got a lot of character. It's tiny, isn't it? That's on the world stage. It's very quaint to see, but the Premier League is like a prestigious league viewed across the world, and you're showing off Luton. Well, come on, you've got to change that.
I mean, the one thing is basically saying that his debut game could be potentially Anfield, Nathan, and there's no tougher place to go to.
No tougher place to go to at all. I mean, what manager goes in to a club, especially struggling like Southampton, gets to win at Anfield with the record that you guys have had at home since Jurgen Klopp has taken charge? For me, especially with that Southampton squad, which is thinned down to anything, and I thought Ralph Hasenhüttl was doing very well to get what he did out of that squad as well. It's impossible for me. But the one thing I would like to just quickly touch on Liverpool, because obviously it's going to be a solid Liverpool win for me. Yes, I thought they were very prolific against Tottenham, really breaching that Spurs defence. I thought Mohamed Salah was absolutely superb to just sort of glide through that back five last time around, which I thought was very weak defensively. Eric Dyer just straight up giving an assist with that Salah goal. Just absolutely crazy. But one thing I will say, especially with what's come out today about FSG as well,
Yeah.
I have one very small phrase to say. So, especially to a lot of Liverpool fans, be careful what you wish for.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I've got to be honest. I think we'll win, but I don't think it's going to be as comfortable as many people think. I've gone 2-0 Liverpool. I think it'll be one of those games where basically Southampton can just play freely, like Aston Villa did against Manchester United, and I am going to go for a 2-0 win for Liverpool. Paul, what are you going to go for this one?
I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. I think that game against Napoli, where they beat Napoli, gave them a lot of confidence. And then going into the weekend against Spurs, they had a very good first half, didn't they? Salah grabbing his 2 goals, which was great for my fantasy football team because I actually left Salah in. And Darwin as well. He a little bit scruffy with his shots, etc. But he is looking, he's got his eyes on the goals. He sees them and he's opened himself up and he's trying to get on the score sheet. And I thought he did quite well against Spurs second half.
Yeah, for me, Nunes is it's a long-term project.
Sorry, Nathan?
For me, Nunes is a long-term project, especially with the way he started the season as well. Like, there was a lot of criticisms go from the start. But when you move in at such a young player as well, with all the expectation in the Premier League, it does take time at the end of the day. Yes, some players come in really fast, like, for example, Haaland. Look at the way he started. But then again, he had the experience in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, he's built for it, whereas Nunes come from the Portuguese league.
Yeah.
Although you could say then a lot of the Wolves players coming in, they sort of hit the ground, I suppose, in the Championship and in the Premier League. So it all depends on the individual, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. But as a prediction, for me, it's Liverpool's 3-0.
I'm going to go 3-0. Whether Nathan Jones goes into Southampton by the weekend, we don't know. It may be, as you say, Doug, Aston Villa did very well against Manchester United with the shackles off, you could say. And maybe that'll happen with Southampton. They can frustrate teams, but Liverpool got this superb record at Anfield, haven't they? Is it 1 defeat now in, I don't know how many years? Or
5 years, 1 defeat in 5 years.
3-0 to Liverpool for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go into some of your comments. Balaam says, Liverpool want to win against Southampton, keep a clean sheet, and Mohamed Salah's continue scoring. Hopefully, Darwin will want to score no more Ralph. Yeah, Ralph did a solid job. Are Southampton preparing for the Championship by getting him in? What do we think?
Possibly. But the thing is, if they're preparing for the Championship and want to go straight back up, then you go with someone who has promotion experience. For example, I know he's at Mönchengladbach at the moment. I'm not sure if he's even still there, which would be a miracle. But you go for someone like a Daniel Farke. Or
he's actually doing pretty well at Mönchengladbach. I think they're 6th in Bundesliga, actually. He's doing really well.
That is surprising, however. Or you would have gone maybe even a Scott Parker. 2 promotions, for example. You go with promotion specialists. You don't go with, for example, a Nathan Jones who has been finishing mid-table or pushing for the playoffs the last few seasons. You go for someone that's
had a restricted budget, though, hasn't he? So you never know. He might be a good fit. They got a lot of young players there at Southampton.
And say they do go down, for example.
He's done well with young players, whereas when he went to Stoke, they were experienced bunch there, and maybe it might be a good fit at Southampton.
Could be. Then again, if they do go down, you'll have the parachute payments.
Liverpool 4, Southampton 0. It could be anything, says Reese. Liverpool 3, Southampton 0. Oh, true. Red's gone Liverpool 1, Southampton 2. Don't be surprised if that actually happened. After beating Spurs and Napoli. Liverpool 3, Southampton 1. Brian says we should be beating Saints 4-0. But there's no way I'm predicting Liverpool Southampton, the 2 most ridiculously inconsistent teams of the last 2 seasons combined. That being said, 4-0. So you said you weren't going to predict it, and then you basically predicted it. There we go. Hello, Jordan. Hope you're good. Hallam was the finished article when he signed for Dortmund. Total freak. Nunes is still as mad as a box of frogs. Needs refining. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely indeed. Now to, Nottingham Forest, they did get a point against Brentford at the weekend. Palace, very good result against West Ham, I have to say. Very, very good performance against West Ham. But Obviously, I've spoken to Nathan about this, Paul. What have you made at Nottingham Forest this season and their 23 plus signings? It feels like
it's
that.
crazy, isn't it? And with that amount of players coming in, it's always going to take time to gel. But I thought before the start of the season, I actually had Forest. I think one of the one of the teams that was going to stay up from the promoted clubs. It hasn't worked out that way. Okay, recently they have shown up in defence, apart from the weekend where they drew 2-2, of course. But overall, I've been disappointed by Forest. What is it? 2 wins out of 14. Okay, they've lost 2 now in the last 6. So that is an improvement. Getting dumped 5-0 by Arsenal wasn't too clever, but
no.
Their home form, they've actually drawn their last 3 home matches. So that is quite good going into this match against Crystal Palace side, which they should be really targeting to win. But I've been impressed with Palace as well recently.
That is true.
At least there's a Zaha getting on the score sheet on the weekend. That triple pronged attack, etc.
Yeah.
Edouard up front they've been doing all right, back-to-back wins now. But so Nottingham Forest, slightly disappointing, but we're only 14 games in. What have we got? About 22, 23 matches to play.
Yeah.
So, they can still get out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I suppose the one thing, Nathan, from Nottingham Forest point of view, is they seem to be picking up their points at home, which is the main thing. And I look at Crystal Palace, and they're doing pretty well so far. But there's got to be a game where you have to think maybe Forest will probably look at this one and maybe get something. Do you think?
Yeah, for me, I think Steve Cooper will go in and look at this. Palace, before, obviously, last time around, remind me again, of course, they beat West Ham.
West Ham,
sorry. Yeah, they did indeed get that win over West Ham. They're going to look at it and go, right, look at their performances beforehand. It wasn't exactly great, and Patrick Vieira has been refining it. Let's go, as Steve Cooper should think, let's go into this thinking we can go full steam ahead and get some points on the board here and get the confidence. I mean, I've said it time and time again how much I do not rate, in particular, Nottingham Forest's defence. I'm sorry, but Steve Cook and Sir McKenna, absolutely terrible centre-back partnership in the Premier League. That is mid-table championship for me as standard, and it even struggled under the likes of it was under Chris Hughton. It was really, really poor. And with the quality on the bench, it's just absolutely crazy. Like Willy Bolly on the bench, come on. And I think for me, in this instance, if Forest don't win this or at least pick up a point, then I think they are doomed unless something drastic happens over the obviously the World Cup break. I think they'll be able to get something. And Palace, they'll need this time now to work out the same. They always stumble across Christmas. I don't know these sort of breaks, Palace. I don't know why they always do it, but I'm going to go 2-1 Nottingham Forest.
Oh, 2-1 Nottingham Forest. Interesting. Paul, do you agree with Nathan?
Nope. 2-1. I'm going to go Palace. Palace have won 4 out of their last 6. Okay, form-wise, Forest at home can win this one. It could go either way. But I Palace, to me, that form, I thought they played really well against West Ham. I'm going to go 2-1 Palace.
2-1 Palace. I've actually gone 2-0 Palace. I think Zaha will have a field day up against Aurier and Steve Cook.
They need to get a settled side, don't they, Forest? They're chopping and changing all over the place, it seems to me. So.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what some of you are saying. Shane's gone 2-0 Palace, so the same as me. On it happened against Leeds and some beautiful love. I won't mention, but I'm thinking those. Oh, club. I was wondering what you were saying. Well, it's a prediction show, so I should play along. Brian's going for Desmond in this one.
Interesting.
Nottingham Forest. Oh, dear me. 2-0 Palace. Trudeau's back in his side. 1-0 Forest. Last game for the World Cup. I'm expecting a few strange results. Forest 0, Palace 2. Right, now we're going to have a game between Second Half FC against Second Half FC. Tottenham against Leeds. Nathan, Why are Tottenham such a second-half team this season?
It's really hard to tell. I just think with the way that, in particular, Conte's been setting up this season, it's just been so negative. The five at the back playing, I don't know, Harry Kane and Ivan Perisic, from what it appears in when they did get that loss against Liverpool, it started really well for Conte, but ever since this season, I just think Spurs have been so negative going forward. It's been unbelievable. Very fine margins that they've been winning games, just sitting back. It's just sort of that thing. And obviously, when they have been quite poor in the first half and letting in goals, then they'll kick on. But it just seems like they want to grind out for the point, or maybe get that first goal and then just sit away from it. But I don't know really. They need to change it up for me. Whereas Leeds, I've never seen a side so inconsistent. It's ever since they've come up from the Premier League, even under Bielsa, just good going forward, inconsistent, leaking goals, pushing everything to the last minute, really overloading their players, and which will cause them to drop off at the end of seasons. And yeah, they're very, very lucky against Bournemouth. To be honest, I don't know what to say about this. Tottenham could go in full guns blazing, or they could go in sitting back, which they have done recently. I think it's going to be a bit of both for both teams. I think Tottenham, it'll be 0-0 to half time. Yeah. I think Tottenham will then nick it in about the 50th minute, and then Leeds will once again come back and put a thing in the back of the net between the 85th and injury time. So I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I mean, Paul, if you're a Leeds supporter, I mean, you're probably you're in a bit of a roller coaster ride as well. But are you surprised Jesse Marsch is still at Leeds?
Yes. No, you've got to give him time. He hasn't been in the hot seat long, has he? So
no,
over a season now, not even a season. But no, you've got to give him time. Back-to-back wins. They'll be buoyed with that victory over Liverpool. Yeah. The comeback win against Bournemouth, where they did ever so well. So they're going to be looking at Tottenham now and saying, we can get something here in London. Whether they will or not, I don't think they will. I think Spurs, Son's out with, was he fractured cheekbone or eye socket or something? Yeah. Lucas Moura's not really getting inside. I think Kulusevski came back came on a sub, didn't he, against Liverpool? Yeah. Perisic, they did play at three at the back, don't they, Spurs? So Perisic was sort of playing as off Harry Kane or Kane off Perisic. He hit the post twice or hit the woodwork twice, didn't he? So I'm thinking of putting him in my fantasy football team this week because he sort of moved from defence up front. So that's something for me to look at. But I think, both teams will score in this one. I am going to go for a Spurs victory, Jess. I think they will win this one 2-1. Although Spurs have had difficulty, I believe, haven't they, beaten the so-called top six or the stronger teams in the league? But I think they should be able to beat Leeds. But I think it'll be close 2-1.
Yeah, I've gone 3-1 Spurs. I think having Kulusevski back is massive. I think huge. It is very, very good to have. And as Brian says, their Kulo bag, that's massive for Spurs. Conte won't last the season, says Shane. Interesting. The Spurs won, Leeds won. He's the only one apart from Kane who could create. That's a very good point. 3-1 Tottenham, says Shane. 2-1 Tottenham. 3-2 Spurs. Spurs go 2-0 down and then come back. It just seems to be their thing. Seems to be their thing. When they go behind, they always seem to play better. I do think Spurs will miss out on the top four. Interesting. Somerville's a brilliant. Somerville is fantastic player. And a 3-1 to Spurs. Now, well, rejuvenated Leicester City, has to be said. They did win by 2-0 against Everton. West Ham, though. Do you both worry for David Moyes?
Depends, really. The West Ham sort of faithful. They're up and down, aren't they? Moyes is the best thing since sliced bread, and I know there's a few murmurings and needs to go now, etc. So it depends on, could there be another protest on the pitch, etc. They are in, 14th position, 14 points. I think they'll be all right this season. I can't see them going down. I think they got too much in that squad and team to worry too much about relegation. Before the season started, they would, should be knocking on for the European places again. But they are in Europe. Is it the or is it the Mickey Mouse League these days called?
Conference League.
They're in the Conference League, aren't they? So
yeah.
Do I worry about Dave Moyes? A little bit, but I think he'll see out this season unless something drastically goes wrong. What has been happening though, Antonio, hasn't been, and that is a bit of a worry.
Is especially with like Scamacca there as well.
He hasn't been. I think he's got 1 or 2 goals, but he's not really setting the world on fire at the moment either. So
no, definitely not. But Nathan, Leicester City have really picked up recently.
They have, ever since Brenda, of course, our friend has been under threat. He's really turned it round. Got the likes of Daka, Dewsbury Hall, and of course Tielemans in particular really firing again. Especially Maddison, who's been superb. Obviously, all the England fans trying to get him into the England squad as well. Tighten up the defence, which they did seem to leak a lot at the start of the season, which was a lot of the Leicester fans' grumblings as well. I know some fans aren't even happy. And of course, we have to mention one thing that is very good for Wales in Danny Ward that's picking up form. He was terrible at the start of the season, but now we are starting to see the true talent we've all been raving about him.
He's definitely Wales' number one anyway. I don't think Hennessy's played a game for Forest yet.
I don't think he has, but I don't know why. I think there's a chance that he could, but I do hope it is Danny Ward if he keeps up this form as well. But it is a difficult one for me. West Ham not in a lot of confidence. They need a marquee win for me to get that back and get the fans back behind Moyes. But yeah, I'm just about going to edge a Leicester away victory 2-1 here.
2-1 Leicester. Interesting. Paul, what are you going to go for this one?
Well, Leicester have kept 4 clean sheets in their last 5 matches. Danny Ward, the defence. Who's the new defender they've got at...
Wout Wees.
Sorry?
Wout Wees.
Wees, yeah. Very, very good. Their only goal they conceded in those last 4 games was against Manchester City in a 1-0 defeat. So defensively, they're doing well. Maddison's pulling the strings in midfield. Couple of assists, I think it was, on the weekend. Tielemans, that was a special goal as well. Absolutely phenomenal. Really like that goal. Probably my favourite of the weekend. I think they're going to go to the London Stadium and come away with all 3 points. But I think it'll just be the 1-0 win in this one. I think it's going to be a tight match, but 1-0.
1-0. I've actually gone 3-1 Leicester. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm going a little bit crazy or not. But I just think that Leicester are free scoring at the moment, and Tielemans I think is trying to get at least a couple of contenders for goal of the season, because that one against Wolves was very, very good. That one against Everton was fantastic as well. Very, very quickly, do we think James Maddison will be in the England squad?
Yes.
No.
I don't think he will be either. I don't think so.
I don't care. Either way.
Yeah.
He's in there, and he's playing against Wales, and I'd worry a bit. But I think Southgate's probably got his favourites. He seems to lean on those a lot, doesn't he? And he may just miss out with the amount of quality in midfield England have got. He may, even though he's in tremendous form, I'd take him, but I think he may just miss out.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might as well. True Red's going for 2-0 Leicester. Oh, interesting. You're predicting Leicester to win, True Red. Interesting. West Ham 1, Leicester 2. 3-1 Leicester, says Shane. Moyes has to be under pressure. He's not fashionable or sexy, so as soon as results turn, he's an easy target. 700 attacking mids and 1 striker. West Ham. If Maddison's not in the England squad, I'd be shocked. I wouldn't scare Southgate. That video of Maddison and Tielemans when Maddison got man of the match was brilliant. Yes, it certainly is. Maddison has been brilliant now. Tielemans' strike was so good. 2-1 to Leicester, says Brian. Connor Wickham got a Pushkash contender at the weekend.
He's on fire for Forest Green, isn't he?
He is.
Did he score from the halfway line? Was it halfway line that he scored?
I'm not sure. Possibly. I know there was one over the weekend, wasn't there?
Yeah, but two sides were in contrasting form. One is an absolute fire. If you're a Newcastle United supporter, third in the league. I don't know if they're having a nosebleed, but I actually do remember Newcastle being sort of top four in the early sort of 2000s. Anyway, but if you're a Chelsea fan, Paul, you've got to be concerned because they were terrible against Arsenal.
Yeah, it was dire, wasn't it? I watched the highlights. It was all Arsenal. Arsenal played very well, but defensively, okay, it was just the 1-0, wasn't it? But going forward, their midfield, lack of creativity, nothing up top. Aubameyang looks lost to me at the moment, or he's not getting service. I think he touched the ball 8 times apparently in that game against Arsenal, which isn't it's terrible, isn't it? So one shot perhaps I think in that match, but Chelsea at the moment, Potter came in and things look quite good, but in the last 4 matches, draws against Brentford 0-0, a draw against Man United at home, but then getting defeated by 4-1 away against Brighton wasn't good, and then last time out, Arsenal have been brilliant this season so far, 1-0, but I do worry for Chelsea. Will they even make top 6 this season? They're going to have a good transfer window, I think, in January. But Newcastle have been phenomenal. Their fans must be enjoying it at the moment, being in the top. Was it third now in the league?
Third in the league.
Was it 6 wins in the last 7? Absolutely brilliant. I think they'll continue that this weekend at home. Their fans are going to be well up for this one. Welcoming a so-called big team up there. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory, especially with Chelsea out of form. It's not going to be like a 4-5-4 thriller or anything like that, but I think they will win. Almiron's looking superb. Whether Wilson will shake off his sniffles for this one, because I think he went off, didn't he, with a bit of a cold. 2-1 for me too, Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan, I don't know where to start with Chelsea. I mean, they're just when you say toothless in attack, that game against Arsenal just kind of proved that. Like, Havertz's decision making was absolutely horrendous.
Aubameyang was. Where do we start with how bad Aubameyang was? I mean, yes, I know he has an Arsenal tattoo and stuff, but I am sorry, no player can perform that bad up front and have that little service or use that little amount of the ball in any match that I have. It was just absolutely woeful. There was no attacking cohesion going between that front four at all. Yes, fair play to Graham Potter, of course, for actually mixing it up, moving away from that really, really offensive back 2 or 3 against Brighton, where he just put 8 attackers on the ball and then get absolutely ripped to shreds. Tries, a 4-2-3-1 against Arsenal. Did not work at all. Just nothing going forwards. Defensively, they were a bit suspect. Playing the hipster way that Potter's renowned for. They didn't even get their benchmark having 1,000,000% possession. 1 shot on target, just poor. Didn't take the chances as they've been doing, and they need this winter break to really get things right, and Potter needs time for it. So, for me, definitely a Newcastle solid 2-0 victory with a clean sheet.
2-0 Newcastle. I'm sorry to any Chelsea fans. I think you're going to get ripped apart.
Yeah,
I really do. I mean, you've been 4-1 with Brighton. I'm going to go 4. This is bold. I'm going 4-0 Newcastle.
Wow.
I honestly
did not surprised.
And plus, you've got Mendy in goal, who is not great. Not great. And honestly, Senegal have a big decision to make over Mendy. I really, really do. Mendy has looked really poor recently as well. Let's see what some of you are saying. Oh, Shane, 4-0 as well. Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1. The top bends. Oh, I need to have a look at that. True's gone 2-1 to Newcastle. Brian's gone 4-1. Yeah, Newcastle. Chelsea are the worst team to watch in the league. I'd have to agree. I would have to agree with that. I would have to agree, but maybe Spurs are probably up there. Yeah. If Potter keeps playing Loftus-Cheek and Cucurella, we are doomed. They're both absolutely useless. Zakaria was so good against Zagreb, then he was dropped to the bench. Potter is absolutely yeah. I don't get Zakaria. 1 minute he's basically playing really, really well against Zagreb. I think he scored against Zagreb, and then he gets dropped. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think he's definitely being returned in January back to Juventus. Like,
100%.
It was just an absolute waste of a loan slot, wasn't it? I do really rate Zakaria, but at the end of the day, if you don't use him properly, then you're going to lose him. And he's been woeful at Chelsea, which isn't his fault. He hasn't been used correctly.
Yeah,
I'm sure Josh is looking forward to this weekend as well. So.
I bet he is. The only good player we have at the moment is Thiago Silva or Reece James. I agree.
They're missing Reece James, aren't they? So.
It's probably an upgrade or a downgrade. Downgrade to Sport Cut. Started to Chelsea was the biggest meh transfer of all time. Yeah, I agree. I would even argue Aubameyang was like meh. We should never have
Aubameyang stay as well this week. He's back, and that sort of backfired on him, didn't it?
Yeah, nothing personal. What an idiot. We should never sack Tuchel just because we lose 3 games in a row. We sack Tuchel. Absolutely stupid. Our medical team needs to be sacked. I swear, we have so many injuries. Yeah, Chelsea and Liverpool shaking hands over how many injuries we can both get. Anyway, it is the managerial bow for Julian Lopetegui as Wolves head coach as they take on, Arsenal. What can we say about Arsenal? Nathan, was that a statement win at the weekend for Arsenal?
Yes and no. I do think winning sort of a local rivalry derby-ish thing to retain, obviously to keep pushing out where they are at the top of the league, which some Arsenal fans would have been dreaming of it for years, considering how bad it's been probably since about 2014, 2013, under Arsene Wenger, then Emery, and now under Arteta, which they've really given patience, and now it is paying off. That young, exciting team, really great going forward. It's just working so well, isn't it? However, against Chelsea, probably only winning 1-0 was a bit disappointing. But with the way they've been playing, absolutely superb. And they're coming up against a Wolves side who are hoping for a managerial bounce. So just constantly getting red cards, though. Semedo, who I haven't been impressed with since he's come in from Barcelona, getting that stupid red card. Of course, Hwang Hee-chan making his first start of the season as well, coming in for yet another suspended Diego Costa as well. They need another signing in January up front for me. And I think it's going to take time. They need a transfer window, Wolves, and they need to be backed in it as well. Pointing it all towards an Arsenal win 2-0 for me.
2-0 Arsenal. Yeah, Paul, are you worried for Wolves this season?
Yes, definitely. 2 wins out of 14 matches. Okay, they got a couple of goals on the weekend, didn't they, against Brighton? So, but defensively they've always looked good. But defeats recently 4-0 against Leicester, shipping 3 against Brighton. Though I did think Wolves played fairly well in parts against Brighton, but overall it's not good. Okay, they did have that win against Forest, but overall, Wolves are going to, unless something major happens, getting a good couple of new recruits, because I don't think Costa's the answer up front in this January window. Then they could struggle to stay in this division. But for a prediction for this match, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Arsenal. Arsenal this season so far look superb. They could have beaten Chelsea by a lot more than just 1-0. I know that Jesus had a glaring miss, didn't he? Or just whether he reached the ball or not, I don't think he did he, on one of those opportunities? And they should have won by more, and I think they will against Wolves. I'm going 2-0 to Arsenal.
It's a full house, 2-0 to the Gunners. Absolutely. When will players learn? Dave the Bragging. I think. Save the bragging until after the game. Dave the Bragging. Sterling and Aubameyang don't know how to score. So if Sterling starts with England,
Completely overrated.
he probably will. To be honest. Wolves 0, Arsenal 3, Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1. Now that's coming from a Chelsea fan. No chance. Look who it is, says Andrew Williams. Hello, Andrew. BBL still making it. Internet's slow. Dear. Wolves 0, Arsenal 2. Wolves 1, Goons 3. Hello, Arpon. He'll be on the channel tomorrow. Looking forward to having you, mate. So we talk about Greg Berhalter, of course. Arsenal win means they're top when they come back. They'll be determined to sign off for 3 points. Yeah, absolutely. 3-0, says Brian, as does Sportcat 1. Also, Shane says 3-0 to Arsenal as well. We do have 2 games left, and it is the battle of the 2 kind of new managers, because Roberto De Zerbi is enjoying a good start to life at Brighton, and Mr. Good Evening, of course, Unai Emery. He's back, and became the first Aston Villa manager to beat Manchester United at Villa Park since 1995, and we all know what happened that day. A certain Alan Hansen says you can't win anything with kids. But they managed to win that one. But I have to say, Nathan, Unai Emery was a very interesting appointment for Aston Villa, and it looks like it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I think it is as well. I mean, considering the way he's done things at Villarreal, has been absolutely superb, and they've sort of been really dying out for a good manager. Like, that Aston Villa squad is absolutely sublime. It should be minimum top 8 if you compare it with all the other squads in the Premier League, including that bench as well that they played, especially with, they didn't even play with a recognised striker against Manchester United, and still absolutely did well until, of course, Danny Ings did come on. But really impressed by them. Emery, it will take time to build it properly, but it's a good way to start against Manchester United, who I think gave them way too much respect in a bit of a turbulent Villa side. And I keep saying it, Steven Gerrard was holding them back with the way he was trying to get them to play, and it was really disappointing under them. But I think it's going to continue for them. I am impressed by De Zerbi at Brighton, really grinding out the results. However, I do think it should have been a bit more, and they could have been a bit better defensively against a poor Wolves side, you can say. But I don't know. It's going to be a close one. However, I think Villa might nick it in the end, 2-1. 2-1.
Interesting. It's a very tricky game to predict, Paul, because Brighton are like free scoring at the moment, and obviously, Emery, Aston Villa have got the shackles off.
They have indeed, yeah. Bailey hasn't really hit the heights we were all expecting him to come in and set the Premier League alight when he came in last season. He got his goal on the weekend, which was brilliant for him, and you could see they were playing with a little bit more freedom than they did under Steven Gerrard, or they seem to be like go out and express yourselves, and they got the win. But they're playing Brighton away from home. I think Brighton will win this match. Back-to-back wins after a bit of a stutter. They're currently in 6th position, so they're going to want to continue, cement themselves in that top 6. They'll be looking at European football if they can sustain it over the course of the season. I think it'll be a close match because Villa will be full of confidence after that win against Manchester United. But I think Brighton will just sneak this one 2-1. The likes of Trossard, Gross getting his goal last weekend. It's Dian, I think it is, young defender, looks decent. So full of energy, Brighton, and at home I think they'll just about gain all 3 points. I could be wrong. Villa could go there and absolutely smash them, but I think Brighton will win 2-1.
I've gone actually for a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be a very, very close one. I think it'll be a very, very close game.
Yeah.
But let's have a look what you guys are saying. True Red saying 2-1 to Aston Villa. Reese Gaming Channel saying 2-2. Ollie Watkins, one of the more underrated players in the division, not enough goals, though. I absolutely agree with that. He has been very, very good. Oh, good question. Anybody think Trossard could be in the Player of the Year noms pre-World Cup? Yes, for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's been excellent this calendar year. Really improved. especially what he did under Potter as well. Every time he puts on a Brighton shirt, I think he's getting better and better and better. And how he hasn't been touted for a massive move yet. You're talking a £60 million move is absolutely insane.
And we saw him live as well when Belgium played Wales, and he was very good for Belgium too.
We did.
Yeah, I think he'll get a move in the summer. Obviously, only one. We know who that is going to be. We definitely know who that is going to be. Pretty sure the last time Emery played with United, but before that was beating him in the Europa League final with Villarreal.
Yep.
Proper coach. He is a proper coach as well. 2-2 says Shane. Another Desmond for me. And Andrew Williams going for 2-1 Villa bounce. Interesting. Very, very interesting. The last game to preview and predict before obviously the World Cup is Fulham against Manchester United. Now, I have to say, I don't think this is an easy game to predict.
It isn't.
Fulham were very unlucky against Manchester City. At home, Fulham have been fantastic. They've been very, very good. Recently, Man United were, so inconsistent. You just don't know what Manchester United is going to turn up. I mean, they've now been drawn against Barcelona in the Europa League, which I find absolutely hilarious. Lewandowski against Maguire in the first leg. Oh, dear. I have to say, though, that I think there will be a shock here. I am actually going to go for a shock result. I'm going for a 3-1 win to Fulham.
Wow.
I honestly think there will be a shock in this game. Man United just proved... I mean, Mitrovic, if he's back, he's going to cause Martinez a big, big problem for me.
Yeah, size difference alone.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, what are you going to go for, Nathan, in this one?
It's a difficult one. I think if Mitrovic is playing, then I'm 100% going to go for Fulham. I'm going to go for Fulham either way, to be honest. With the way that they played this season, a lot of people written off Fulham, which I was quite surprised about. I had them step and actually finish quite comfortably. They've learnt their lessons that they've obviously fallen succumbed to in the last few seasons that they've been up. Marco Silva has done really well with them as well. The way they're playing is absolutely superb. They've nailed the formation. They're really overlapping well, using their players well. Pereira's been superb. Willian, I'm surprised about that. Harry Wilson's been great too. Mitrovic, he's been unbelievable when he's been playing. Of course, yes, he didn't play against Man City, but then again, you can have those games, aren't you? And yeah, I really think Man United are going to go in with not enough respect when they're playing them, and I'm going to go 1-0 Fulham.
1-0 Fulham. Very, very interesting. I think we've had that age-old argument now, Paul, that Manchester United without Bruno Fernandes are a completely different team.
Yeah, well, I think he's back now, isn't he, this weekend? Was it a one-match suspension? So
one-match suspension.
That will make a big difference. I think a lot depends on Rashford and Anthony as well. If they can get into the game, they'll cause Fulham all sorts of problems. Mitrovic, who knows? Is he going to be there? Is he already shipped off to Serbia in preparation for the World Cup? Possibly. Who knows? Pereira is a very good player, mind. I think it will be tight, but I do believe, looking at that team Manchester United have got, if it's at home, they'd win this one like 9 times out of 10. But I think they'll just sneak this one 2-1. I think Man United will just about come away with a victory. I think they've got 3 clean sheets in their last 5 as well.
Yeah.
So defensively, they've been okay, apart from when they played Villa, of course, where they got smashed.
Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So they'll be working on Ten Hag. To be fair to him, he has actually a little bit more consistency from their side, and he's actually done quite well for Manchester United since coming in.
Yeah,
from what they previously were doing.
He certainly has. Brian says Trossard 27 now. I think big move soon. Yeah, Trossard he does need a big move. Shane going for a 1-1 draw. Andrew Lyon's going, United's confidence gone a bit at the moment. Fulham 3, Manchester United. Oh, same as me. Interesting. Fulham 1, Manchester United 0. 3-1 to Fulham, says Brian. Same thoughts as Douglas. This will be the shock result.
Yeah.
Bruno is rubbish also. Is he? Is he, Andrew? I'm not so sure about that. I'm so worried for United. 2-1 Fulham, and that's coming from a Man United fan. Well, there we go indeed. It is certainly going to be some very interesting games, and there will probably be a few shock results as well. But that takes care of the Prem Prediction show until after the World Cup. My big thank you to Paul and Nathan for coming on. Paul, how many subs are you away from 5K? Because it's not far now.
It's about 70, something like that, I think it is. 70k. So yeah, anybody who hasn't subbed to my channel on this live stream tonight, head over to Bluebird Legend and sign up for mainly predictions over there. Haven't been doing too good this season, so everything I've said this evening take with a massive pinch of salt. Fulham will probably win now, having just tipped Man United. So if anyone hasn't, if you want some fun over there, then head over to Bluebird Legend on my YouTube channel. Let's get to 5K. Why not?
Absolutely. And Nathan, tell the people where they can find you.
NWM link in the description below. Cardiff City Wales content. Vlogs will be obviously returning for that. Last 2 Cardiff vlogs this week. One will be out on Wednesday, and then the other I imagine will be out on Sunday. Let's just say the one on Wednesday could get very tasty. I'll leave it there. So
who have you got?
We've got Hull, but there's something else that could be a bit that we'll leave for another time.
A certain person is coming over from Malaysia for the first time in a few years. So.
VT, is that?
On social media, a lot of T-shirts have been printed.
Oh dear. Well. We shall obviously wait and see. But no, thank you very much for coming on, and obviously good luck to the rest of the season for Cardiff, and good luck to Wales and the World Cup as well. Good luck to them as well. But I'll go for the last few couple of comments anyway before we do head off. Cheers, guys. Brian, not a problem. Links. They are in the actual title. They're actually in the title of the video. So all you just got to do is basically click on theirs, and they're basically in bold. So they will be in the description. So go and check them out. Class Tough Lads. Just put a bit of balance. Tan as well for fire at.
It is.
It is.
It is Mr. Welsh word for fire.
It is indeed. But thank you very much for watching. The Prem Prediction show will return after the World Cup. And enjoy the rest of your evening, and enjoy the Carabao Cup when it comes as well. Good night.